Fear not, citizens. Hope has arrived as we are back with My Hero Academia. This is the Amateur Otaku podcast. We talk all things My Hero, whether that be the manga, the anime, the OVAs, the spinoffs, and of course the memes. Isaac is starting right off the bat with the MHA memes. Guys, I'm your host, All Mike, aka the Novice Cinephile. Joining me, of course, is the Mad Doc himself, Isak Wolf. How you doing, Isaac?
I'm tired, but otherwise I'm good.
Yeah, so same as always, even though I was gone for a week, huh?
Hmm.
Well, I appreciate you and Brandon holding down the fort while I was gone. It was a heck of a chapter last week. Brandon, how you doing, man?
I arrive with a burning heart.
Yeah, it's gonna be a therapy session, I think, today.
Yeah.
Joining us for the first time is Barrett Courtney. Barrett, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing, emotionally destroyed, ready to, process some things today. I was just really hoping for an autograph. And that's all I
Oh,
really wanted. That's all I really wanted.
Damn.
And, now, I continue to be destroyed. So that's where I'm at emotionally. That's where I've been all day today.
it's been a rough day. I will say that. It
You're
has been a
embracing your Twitter handle.
sad boy Barrett for sure.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the chapter, do you want to tell us where you're from, what you do, Barrett, since it's your first time here?
Yeah, I am a video director at Kind of Funny. You may have heard of us. We cover video games, movies, TV shows, anything under like nerd culture. Anime is something that we talk about every once in a while on shows like Screencast. Every once in a while when we're talking about the anime specifically. And My Hero Academia is something that I was out of anime for a while personally, and it was something I kind of started up out of the blue a couple of years ago, I think right before season 4 had started. And so, really got onto the fan bandwagon around then, have been continuing on that train ever since. Started reading the manga early into season 5 because we were talking about before the show had started that My Hero, along with some other anime, not the easiest to watch week to week. So I think early in season 5 I was like, all right, I just need to catch up on the manga because this is I need to know what's going on. So that's been my journey through or that's who I am, and that's my journey with My Hero Academia so far, or Boku no Hero Academia as it's known in the manga.
For sure, for sure. That's interesting because My Hero is also like my first anime, just period in general.
Oh.
So that's kind of
You're
cool.
welcome.
Yeah, Isaac's never gonna let it go. Him recommending My Hero to me, but
Out
it's
of all
interesting.
out of all the chapters, this is the one that he's not gonna let it go.
Oh yeah, Isaac is real cocky right now, you guys. For those who don't know, in the server where we're recording this stream, he titled it "I was right" in all caps. That's how cocky Isaac is today. So let's jump into this chapter. Go ahead.
In
Isaac,
all
sorry.
seriousness, I'm. Could I be wrong still? Sure, but I can't help but just teasing a bit. You know that I have no shame at times.
Oh
At
yeah,
times.
at times he says sarcastically. Spoilers for My Hero
But I'm a
Academia
sweet, innocent
362.
angel. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh boy.
we're in for a really really bad Isaac episode. I feel it in my bones. Spoilers for MHA 362. Titled Lights Fade to Rain. Brandon, I know you guys did last week's chapter, and this one is kind of picking up from that. We see Amajiki having like this insane power up, right, where he's getting like his ultimate move, and
Fried rice.
they really, right, they really upped. They played it up like it was going to be something special, something incredible. Right. Were you at all disappointed by how big of a dud that power move was from Amajiki?
Well, that's the thing, though. I'm gonna go back to something that I kind of complained or pointed out on the last chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I am not disappointed that it was a quote unquote dud, because fact of the matter is you're not wrong. So you're not. I can't be disappointed in something you're not wrong about. In the sense that I already knew this was going to happen, because there's no way that the big three are going to take down Shigaraki, because that's not how this story is supposed to end. So after being without our main hero for almost 3 months, and him not being anywhere close to the, like, I'm so desperate to see Deku. When you see the frames of the shot exiting the tomb, the big sky city. Oh, I'm sorry, exiting Sky High. When you see the Mega Man blaster,
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, that's probably what Deku saw in the distance. The shot.
Right.
That was how desperate I am of going like, Deku's close. But no, of course, that didn't happen. It's a random city that we don't know who lives there. And apparently they're not high enough because now they're close to skyscrapers. I don't know. It's life. But it's like I knew that there's no way that this super ultimate move was going to do anything to Shigaraki significantly, because he's not their villain. He is supposed to be the villain. So there's no way they're taking him down. That we know for a fact that's not going to happen. So it was, which is kind of like, to me, I was mentioning to Isaac, like, it felt like the whole thing with the big three is kind of the service to them in a way. Yeah. Because we know for a fact they're not taking Shigaraki down. So why is their biggest stand this one? If you want to make them shine, you got to put them against someone like when you put Shoto against Dabi. Mm-hmm. Because that was meant to for Shoto to shine. And what a great sequence, right? The same thing goes with what happened with Tsukiyami and Jiro. That was a great moment for them to shine. Here, it's kind of like an oxymoron. You're setting them up as the great big moment for the big three, but at the same time, look at the villain. It's an immovable object, and they've been telling us, or at least you've been teaching us for 362 chapters, that the only thing that's going to move the all-for-one object is the one-for-all unstoppable force. So when you see it going against everything else, it's like, But I am not disappointed with Tamagaki, because his fried rice can come up with a mean blaster, and that actually looks freaking awesome, even though I have no clue whatsoever how all those animals become a blaster a la Pokemon. So I have no idea how that happens. It's like, I don't know how Dragonite can shoot a Hyper Beam. Like, I don't know how that happens. But it's like he became Pokemon logic in that moment. And it was super cool. It makes no sense, but it was super cool.
Yeah, I don't understand. This has been a complaint of mine the entire arc of, we have all these characters fighting a fight that we know that they can't win.
Yeah.
And so it just feels like a giant waste of time to me. But Barrett, what are your thoughts on like the canon Tamaki makes, or just the entire fight with Shigaraki in general?
Well, so far I've been a fan of the fight, and just really because of all of the body horror that Horikoshi has really leaned into for this arc, just like the artistry of it, and just like all of that I really love. Like, he was really just like watching Akira over and over again, I feel like, and just like really getting into that, and seeing that with my boy Sun Eater. I really loved that on his part as well, where they lead up to that at the end of the last chapter going into this one. And for me, I definitely understand the complaint, because they're not going up against their villain. They're going up against the villain. Whereas like that's Deku's job, right? I think the problem is, though, and something that, the reason I don't mind that they're going up against Shigaraki, and we have this whole thing with the big three going up against him, is that like they don't have that foil in this story, right? Like they've always kind of been really cool side characters that people really latch onto, but we never got to know them enough that, like, you know, we don't have like a rival, a main rival for Lemillion or Sun Eater or Nejire, right? And so for me, I thought it made them shine in the fact that they are the big three. They don't really have their villain to go after, but they're doing literally everything they can with some of the pro heroes with Bakugo to literally hold off Shigaraki as much as they can in time for Deku to get there. So that part doesn't bother me, because I still think that showcases them in a really cool light of how much Shigaraki has been set up as, like, literally nobody can stop him. We know just from a storytelling perspective, no one's going to be able to stop him except for Deku. And so for me, I've been kind of sold on it, but I do understand the kind of where are we going here, and the pacing of this fight might be a little weird at times, but it still gives me some really chills, some great chills, and some really awesome get hype moments. Like, yeah, it comes off as a dud, but when I'm looking at the panel here where Sun Eater yells like vast hybrid plasma cannon, and you see his weird gigantic zoo arm like shoot out like a Nejire blast, and he yells "get wrecked," which almost seems like not something that he would yell. I love that so much. And yeah, I love that we get the wide shot as well of seeing his blast go outside the sky high and seeing the city, because you have to be reminded every once in a while of, like, oh yeah, they're like super high up in like the sky and stuff right now, because like you're only seeing the battle arena. You kind of forget what everything that's going on. So to like be reminded of that full picture, I really love. So yeah, that's how I felt about kind of the beginning parts of this issue here.
When you mentioned the get wrecked thing, it made me think this is Sun Eater's ultimate smash. Like like in Super Smash Brothers, he's just doing his final smash.
Yeah, it's a great moment, and I think that's why it kind of annoys me a little bit that I'm hoping in the next chapter, 2 weeks from now, I'm hoping we see like, oh, it did some damage to Shigaraki, even if it's not enough to stop him. It weakens him enough for Deku to come in and finish the job.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for, instead of it just like, oh, he shrugs it off. But Isaac, I'm gonna toss it up to you, man. What are your thoughts on the beginning of this chapter and this attack or assault on Shigaraki? And then you have the moment of him saying, like, come on, use your heads. I'm stronger than Prime All Might. Like,
yeah,
again, showing how strong he is.
Honestly, I think it's perfect considering the situation. I think you guys have pretty much I mean, they're fighting for survival. They're fighting to keeping it at bay, and it would have how should I put it? It is better that he managed to fire off his shot, and you can see if it gets damaged, then it just him, for example, just hey, gotcha, and he just runs and takes him down, kind of a deal, sort of spiel. Imagine take this over Shiggy just going all teleporting in front of him and stopping the cannon blast last second, because he's all powerful now. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you there. I just think it's insane how powerful Shigaraki has gotten to this point. He feels like, and I know Naruto reference, he feels like Madara at this point, right? Where he's just unstoppable, and it's gonna take Naruto and Sasuke to beat him. Sasuke's dead now. Isaac, you can say you're right. Go ahead.
Yeah, so right now I'm right, and I honestly I hope I'm right, and the reason I say hope I'm right is this: Bakugo, Shonen Jump battle manga is known for loving to fake death. That's nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
That goes for Fairy Tail. That goes for Naruto, and to some extent you can argue Dragon Ball. But Dragon Ball has their quote unquote story plot point that it was their, I wouldn't say plot point, but the tool that the reader can just, even if they realize that, okay, they have the Dragon Balls, there's rules in place here that they can use it if they so want to. It's not something that comes up off their ass just the last second every time. And here comes the reason why I hope I am right. Would I like to sort of like to be wrong here? Yes. But here's why I hope I'm right now. First of all, Bakugo has cheated death before. And so that's one reason as to why. Second of all, he gets a much worse wound now, arguably, than he gets previously. And honestly, just going to the whole him talking with All Might's vestige, that is written in such a way that it's just prime. He realized that he's dead. If we're going by the MCU logic, considering he's a big Marvel guy, this comes as a lot of Tony Stark talking to his grown-up daughter after they did the snap kind of deal. And I mean, you said, oh, right. So I was thinking when we finally met, I was pretty much a punk going through some stuff. Now I looks like I missed my chance to ask. Man, I wanted an autograph so bad. And then we see his heart being pierced, be it by his obvious Kirk boost or Shiggy or both. And we see him lying there, completely blood in the face, heart ripped, chest ripped out, and his trading card lying there. And they make a big deal about him lying there in the rain, which he hates. And all I'm saying is that, yes, there is they indicate there is something more with Bakugo than considering he gets reminded of a previous user. But here's the thing for me, what I am thinking. If he had connection to a previous user, be it that he has a power, he has gotten the power just randomly, or he's a descendant of him, or heck, earlier today I did a research for if Heroes Rising was canon, just like Two Heroes, and then I found a sort of like a quote from Horikoshi. Of course, without a doubt, the movie and manga are adjoined, and the movie story is connected to the manga story, and that happens after it. Which begs the question to me: Did he see All Might's vestiges because he have had One for All, even for a brief amount of time, causing this that he can return, but as a vestige? Because honestly, if he returns all fine and good because of a Kirk boost, then I'm sorry, but all the stake/tension in this war is just flushed down the toilet if he cheats death yet again. My Hero Academia is a sort of like a semi-grounded X-Men style universe, not some science fiction story that has a magic bullet point that they can use whenever they want to save a character or not.
So, I'm sorry, were you finished? I don't want to cut you off.
I'm finished.
Okay, well, first off, I'm going to address the vestige thing. If he's seeing vestiges, why isn't Bakugo in Deku's vestige space? You know?
That's the only thing I'm questioning, because that was a thing that I was wondering too, because but that was a thing that
Yeah, that's why I don't think that's the case there.
Yeah.
I think it's probably just if Bakugo's dying and he's thinking about All Might. That's how it's coming. That's
Fair
how
point.
it's.
Yeah,
Fair
that's how it
point,
came. That's how it came off to me. Is just
Right.
that he, it's similar to how All Might looks in the Vestige realm for Deku, but I think it's just because he is this kind of force in such a like a big way that almost that's how Bakugo sees him in his own mind too.
Right.
So that's how
point.
that came off to me. But I do understand with like Shiggy for one right beforehand, either thinking about the second user for One for All right beforehand, of like maybe there's a connection there. It is very interesting, but yeah, to me that's not even really the Vestige realm. To me that's just Bakugo in his own mind, just thinking about what he could have said to All Might.
I'm glad you mentioned the second user because I'm not gonna sit here and say I 100% believe Bakugo is dead right now, because bringing up Naruto, remember when Might Guy opened up the 8th gate and we thought he was dead, and then Naruto just shows up and says, no, we're gonna reverse that.
Yeah, and that was bullshit.
I mean, yeah, but it happened. Go ahead.
And I will also say that I dare argue that My Hero Academia is way more grounded than what Naruto is.
Well, Eri can reverse time, and we don't know what the second user's quirk is yet. That's my thing.
That's true. And also, what's the Gran Torino is somehow also still alive, so the grounded thing.
We don't know if he's alive or not yet.
Okay.
I have a feeling that Torino's dead. And the only reason I feel that way is because that would be one of the that's the only reason that I think Izuku is wearing his cape.
I mean, he gives him the cape. It's not like he's just wearing it in honor of. He literally says, "Here, Deku, take it," and we don't see him die. That's the thing.
Yeah, and Horikoshi really likes it to make it clear when he actually kills off a character, you know.
And that's a fair point. So I don't know if you're right, but when it comes to Bakugo, I am ready to accept he is dead for the simple reason that 75% of the chapter is a goodbye.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like he was shot at the end of as a cliffhanger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that he just suffered a major blow. He suffered a major blow 2 chapters ago. So we already knew he was knocking on death's door. And he could have easily just stayed over there. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. And because he didn't, and everything that happens because of his actions, I don't think his quirk has anything to do with him dying. It was literally him Shigaraki piercing his heart.
My one question there, though, and because the way it all happens, like it'll obviously be a little more clear in the coming weeks or maybe in the coming months, because who knows if we even get a direct follow up.
I swear, if we cut to Ochako, I'm gonna be so mad.
But I wouldn't put it past Horikoshi to do something like that, right? The way the sequence of events here and like how they explain the gland buildup like right beforehand and all of that stuff, and then seeing Shiggy's like really big arm kind of it seemingly pierce Bakugo, right? And then seeing the hole in his chest at the end of the chapter, like that seems almost like too small of a hole. Like I feel like Shiggy's really big arm that's really thick would have cut his entire upper half of his body clean off there. So
but at the same time, I would say though, throughout the entirety of this fight, Shiggy has been excessive on purpose. Mm-hmm. So everything he's been doing has been deliberate. So he was probably being deliberate on purpose with the type of wound that he inflicted.
Yeah, I see.
He went straight to the heart, specifically. Like he measured it and went straight in and just fucking yeah, he went straight to it. So, but yeah, I think and not only that, you bring his parents into the frame. Like, there's just so much here that there's nothing to gain to bring him back.
Yeah, all of this entire chapter, I think,
Nothing
personally,
is
would
gained.
be weakened.
Right. And you know what? What other way? What a great way to break Deku in a way that you can shake his morals in this fight against Shigaraki than to kill his best friend.
That's that's the one doubt I have too, though, is that maybe he's not immediately dead. Like we know that what's the name of All Might's former sidekick?
Night Eye.
Night Eye.
Yeah.
Like Night Eye like survived like this really big pierce into his entire like abdomen for like a good couple of like for a good chunk of that fight, right? And he was still able to live. So like maybe like I think no matter what, I do think Bakugo is passing or has passed. Yeah. The one thing that like I kind of scratch my head at, right, is the fact that like Deku isn't there. That him
to
and
see
Deku,
him die.
Yeah, or to at least have like one more like not full on conversation because they're in the middle of a battle, but like one more word, one last thing to each other, and that's the thing that I kind of doubt that he is fully gone, even though in this last panel, like there is no life in his one eye that's still, that actually has an eye, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the one doubt. Maybe they pull in the vestige world thing from the movie from Two Heroes. Even though Horikoshi says that, like I doubt he will actually pull in reference from that. I feel personally that would be such a weird move to do a cross media, like, hey, this story from this animated movie is actually really important for a couple of beats in these next few chapters. I personally think that'd be really weird storytelling that I doubt Horikoshi wants to actually do. Because there might be the possibility that they talk in the vestige world, but I personally don't see that happening. I
mean,
but maybe the Bakugo theory is correct, and he gets reversed by Eri and reversed so hard he gets sent back in time, and he's really the second user. Who knows?
I also thought.
Damn.
One thing I can mention also.
Yes, Isaac.
That do you remember the chapter that's called "How We All Became Heroes -1"? And we know that Horikoshi loves foreshadowing. Just saying.
I hate you, Isaac.
Which chapter was that? Like, I can't even remember. Who's the main focus of that one?
341, if I'm not mistaken.
That's like kind of villain focus, because How We All Became Heroes, I think, is the end of. I think that's at the end of Ochako's speech.
I'm looking at it now, and it's all about Toga.
Like all villains.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is all about Toga and the League of Villains. So I feel like if that chapter was for like Bakugo focused or centered, I would see that and be like, oh dang, that's a great parallel. But maybe it's like a sneaky reference from Horikoshi. Yeah. So this is where I'm at with this whole Bakugo thing. And I said this last time I was on the show a couple of weeks ago. I don't know, like this is a fantastic, like if this is how he dies, perfect chapter, right? I love how we see closure to his character arc of him accepting his flaws, understanding his relationship with Izuku, seeing his parents, all that stuff.
Yeah. And the fact that he calls him Izuku and he's not even there, right? How many times has he called him Deku throughout the entire run, right? And he finally respects him enough to call him Izuku.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you say that, because in Japanese culture, first name basis is a symbol of closeness and respect.
Right.
Like it's literally him talking to him like he's his brother. That's kind of like the closeness that didn't call him Deku, he didn't call him Midoriya, he called him Izuku.
Yeah. And like if this is the end of Katsuki Bakugo, what a way for him to go out. On the flip side though, if I'm looking at the entire story of My Hero Academia, it pisses me off for a couple of reasons. One, like you guys said already, Deku isn't here. But two, Kirishima isn't here. And on the flip side of that, you guys were talking about how the big three didn't have their own villain, their own bad guy, right? Bakugo's the same way, where we've never. This is the first time in the main series he's been in a major fight. All of his major fights have been against Deku, and so it's just kind of weird and baffling to me how you have this character. And I guess you can look at it one way, where like his biggest weakness, his biggest villain was, the inner turmoil he had himself, which is one way to spin it. But it's just really weird for, in continuity, not counting the movies, his only significant fight is right here. And he deals 0 damage to Shigaraki and dies. If he got damaged, like if he weakened Shigaraki somehow, and then Deku arrives, cool. But that doesn't happen. So it's kind of just like the character fizzles out. Maybe that's the point. Maybe Bakugo is the chosen one who never lived up to his potential, never got a chance to live up to his potential. That could be a way to look at it, but I can't say it's satisfying for me looking at his entire character arc for it to stop at this point. Am I wrong there?
I don't think you are. I mean,
I don't think you are either. I see your point, but it's just with how the whole chapter is written, I just feel it would just be so cheap. And
I mean, I'm not saying he's coming back. I'm saying how I'm looking at the chapter. I'm looking at the story.
I'm with you. I'm with you. All I'm saying that I think we can all agree that it would be kind of cheap if he gets resurrected like last time, considering how this chapter was written.
now, what I do want to mention, which I is the one thing that I consistently am enjoying, kind of, from this leg of the war that we're in with Shigaraki, with all for Shiggy, is that we have been able to see his how he's become, how Shiggy is no longer necessarily there, more and more. Like, we kind of see more of All for One with every passing chapter and less of Shiggy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, until Mirio said he had no friends.
No, yeah. Right. That was a big one. And then now, especially this one, the way he's talking like a real, like, pompous, megalomaniac, like, this is the villain's tale. Like, you guys are not meant to win. This is my time. Like, he's talking the big villain talk. Like, that's not how Shigaraki talks. You know what I mean?
That's All for One talk,
right,
as well. But and I love that too, especially because it's teased when Mario says he's a friendless noob, and then he actually has to think about his think about his childhood friends, and
right.
of course doesn't think about any of his villain friends at all, which was like really upsetting. But there's still hints of him, right? I love the arms all kind of like on top of Tenko, and like maybe there's a little bit still there to save. I love even in this chapter, it seems that in the panel where, or on the page where he's going, why am I suddenly panicking? He's thinking about the second user of One for All. In his weird arm, there's a face that you see in the middle of that arm coming out of all of his body horror, where he's telling Bakugo to go to hell, and it looks like Tenko Shimura's dad, especially with the hair that's a little bit teased. Like, I love that, even though it is very clear of like, okay, this is One for All. He definitely, in a really messed up way, also didn't really care about Shigaraki. He just wanted to get him so angry that he was able to take over his body, essentially. And but I love that there's still hints of him there, that there's still possible, not hope of redeeming him, because I don't think there is any like redeeming him, but at least saving him a little bit,
Yeah. I totally feel like Deku's going to pull Tenko out of whatever bind, like actual bind and cage that they have him locked up in, and that's how he like takes control of his body again, like fights against All for One's vestige. I feel
sort of like a Darth Vader kind of death that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I guess, but way cooler, because Darth Vader's death is very annoying to me. I'm not getting into Star Wars though today.
For reference of what we are talking about, Star Wars reference, as a Darth Vader death. All for One takes over his body. Shiggy managed to take over, taking back his body, he realized that he has been
He turns
manipulated
against
all that.
Palpatine.
He
Yeah.
turns against Palpatine and he's killing them both on the spot, which in that case, Deku saves Shiggy. In the essence of Shiggy, he gets he becomes himself again, and Shiggy can become a sort of closest thing to a hero, as in he's sacrificing himself to defeat the big bad.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
I kind of have an idea of what if they go Full Metal Alchemist on this,
Go on.
and they go like, and they treat All for One like father, in the sense
Wait.
that
It's fine. Let him talk.
it's a series that's been out for. It's a manga that's been out for almost 20 years. The Brotherhood.
Stale.
Brotherhood.
No.
Actually, you got to do FMA Brotherhood because this doesn't apply.
I mean,
to
that
the
was still
original.
12 years ago at this point, I think.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, guys. It's, you know.
Thank you.
When this goes down, spoilers are over.
Okay, FMAB. FMAB. So the only way they actually were able to beat Father is by making him use up the entirety of the Philosopher's Stones that he had. So it's kind of like they didn't beat him outright. They pretty much just removed components from him or made him use batteries, kind of. So what if, because of the whole body melding power that this body has, what if there's a way that Deku finds a way, just like you see the shapes of the body forming, where Deku's able to pull Shigaraki out of that body. And by doing that, Shigaraki is removed from that body, quirkless. And that's how he saves Temgo. And that's what destabilizes All for One.
I just want to throw something in the mix here right quick. Remember when Deku tried to pull Bakugo out of the sludge villain? That'd be a sick parallel. Especially since he couldn't save Bakugo.
Yeah.
Yeah, heartbreaking. I could see it. I unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but like kind of how this kind of hero's journey stuff is going and the way.
And I removed spoilers, by the way.
Oh yeah, I don't think we need Full Metal spoilers. Maybe Star Wars spoilers. But the way
Shigaraki clearly didn't care about spoiling Star Wars, by the way.
I mean, that's 50 years old, or not 50 years, but a little over 40 at this point. I think for Shigaraki, I don't think there's a way out for him to not die. And I like the idea of like him being pulled out and then All for One is just the embodiment of all of the body horror that Shigaraki's been having to deal with. And then he's just like this really gross monster that they have to fight. Like, I really love that idea. But then on the other side, kind of the consequence of that is where do you go with Shigaraki's story? Where do you go with him and, his Shimura side? Like, how does that get redeemed? I think the way Horikoshi has written his character, I feel like that can only be quote unquote redeemed in death. And I feel like if you pull him out of the All for One grossness, he is no longer in danger of that. But I do like that idea too.
Well, and also, I'm sorry, did you finish? I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Because the other way this can work also is, what if there's I think we shouldn't. I don't know why, but I have a feeling, especially now with the conversation, it's like I don't see why there wouldn't be a way to prove that decay quirk was given to him by All for One.
Yes,
like
I am a part of that theory as well.
Yeah, like a
the
way
chapter where you kind of see the adult bring him home, and like the theory is that the adult who brought him home was All for One. I'm definitely of that. I share that theory with a lot of people.
It looks
and
like All for One's build too.
Yeah, I think that will come up maybe.
And that's a way of talking about how. Literally, that's All for One flipping the finger to the One for All lineage, because that was his way of because remember, you're talking about one of the users' family, and just hitting them hard, right? And that's one. Two, it also makes you think that maybe Shigaraki's arc is that he learns how to live the fact that even though he was given a quirk, and like him realizing that he became a villain because he allowed himself to do those things, not because he had a decay quirk. Because anybody can say that because of the quirk he became who it is, right? Which is kind of the point of Spinner and stuff like that, right? Like or Twice. Like they're trying to say that they're evil because of the quirk that they have, which that's kind of the point. That's not the way it is, you know?
Yeah.
Like I think there's a way where Shigaraki accepts his guilt and he lives the rest of his years recognizing what he's done or what he allowed to happen. It doesn't have to end in death, because in a way, if it ends in death, does Deku really save the day? Because you got to think about it. What Horikoshi has made as Deku's main want in the story is to save Tengo. So it's kind of like, how do you achieve that? Especially now, with him kind of being responsible of Bakugo's death.
Yeah.
A lot of good questions.
A lot of questions. And I love how in the Weekly Shonen Jump, Horikoshi gave us the most devastating chapter. And he's just like, so I went to the dentist this week. See you guys in 2 weeks. Later. Take it easy. But yeah, Brandon, I want to ask you, how do you feel about this sick Avengers reference when Deku sees the bloody card on the ground? He gets back.
Damn. I didn't catch it. Damn. You know what? It's like. Wait.
Also, Coulson didn't really die. Just want everybody to remember that. So
yeah, and
You got
a one-eyed man there with Aizawa, and he's gonna be like Deku, he died in vain. He'll pass him his card all bloodied, and someone will bring him aside and be like, Aizawa, like Bakugo's fine, like we saved him. It's like, no, he needs someone to avenge, So that's how that's gonna go.
I mean, but then you ask yourself the question: is the goal of the story to prove that everybody's worth saving, or is the lesson that being saved is a choice, and Deku has to understand that some people can't be saved? Because when you think about a lot of the conversations, which is what I've loved of, I'm gonna say postmodern. Oh my God.
Rest in peace, Kacchan.
Oh my God.
I thought about when you're done. I want to point out something.
Yeah, one of the things that I kind of want to call postmodernist MHA, and what I mean by that is like when we got like Batman, Deku, and all that stuff, right? Post-war, right? Post-war. Everything that started with My Villa in Academia and all that, all the different philosophical conversations about the idea of what a hero is, can be, should be, shouldn't be. That's really what we're talking about, right? Like, it all started like fun and games. It all became about the school. And then when we get to the post-war content, it's all about questioning exactly what that means. Like, Ochako's big speech, like it's all about what being a hero really means, right?
Right.
And it makes me think: Are we? Is the next question we're going to tackle? Do we save everybody? Is there such a thing as someone that doesn't want to be saved? Do we save people against their will? Like, is this something that is? Does Deku need to win to be a hero in that way? You know what I mean? Like, because if we go the Sasuke route, right? Because if you think about it, for a minute there, we always thought about Bakugo and Deku kind of being like the Naruto Sasuke combo. If we're going the Sasuke route and we're trying to save Shigaraki, then we're giving Shigaraki that Sasuke role, technically. But
dang, you're right.
we're giving Shigaraki the Sasuke role. But the question is this: Sasuke had to want deep down all he wanted was to not be alone. And technically, Mirio told Shigaraki that he has no friends, and that's why he's fucked up. so
and that is very similar to Shigaraki's upbringing, right?
Right.
Of he had some friends. He liked those friends when he was a little kid because they would play heroes together. But at home, right, he felt so isolated because of his father, because of the way his father kind of structured that household. And so you might be right. You might be on the point there of the Sasuke kind of comparison.
And is this going to be the traditional story where the hero saves the person that doesn't know that they need to be saved? And if we're going to do that, I don't think this happens. Again, if we're going the Sasuke route, how did Sasuke pay for his crimes? By learning to be a real hero for the village, even when he's hated, which is the whole arc that he has in Boruto. Which, by the way, I like his character a lot more now than I did in Shippuden. So it's like, not that I'm waiting for my MHA Shippuden, but...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be over after this.
I
want it to be over. For Horikoshi's mental state, I want it to be over after this.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know where you take it after that. How do you top it? It's the issue. You can't go past this.
I mean, Boruto's going to space, so I think...
They are what now?
No, I'm just making jokes about how most of the villains are inspired by space and cyberpunk in the future, and it's weird.
It's
Cyberpunk 2077. Konoha.
A question that I had really quick is when Bakugo's kind of getting thrown to the side and there's the weather report coming in, a sudden drastic rise in temperature disrupting the weather patterns. Rain is coming now. Is that Bakugo's attack that really brought the temperature up? Is that what they're trying to talk about there, of almost metaphorically and almost as a callback to when he was first saved by All Might, and with the one punch, All Might was able to change the weather? Is that the kind of full circle that we're thinking of here? Because if that's also the case, that's the other thing where it's I don't think you can bring him back after this, because this is literally
I was actually gonna mention that.
Yeah.
It's even going full circle with the weather, and I found something morbidly funny.
Oh, boy.
That's
Morbidly funny? Good grief.
There is someone from that's apparently from interview with Horikoshi. In regards of My Hero Academia final act, Horikoshi says he's in his message at Jump Fiesta 2022 that Bakugo will have a huge role to play, and he hopes those who love and hate Bakugo will enjoy it. Lol. And what role in being a dead former best friend that makes him more focused to win against Shigi?
So I'm going to play devil's advocate there with that, though, Isaac, simply because Bakugo is his role just to be. So we basically fridged him. That's the role.
Yeah, he's the dead friend. That's his importance now.
Yeah, that's kind of lame.
And I feel because Horikoshi gives that answer, he's hopefully people who both love and hate him will appreciate it. I feel that doesn't ring true for people who love him, that his most important role in this fight is being the dead friend. So now I'm starting to think, there's going to be maybe a little bit more of what's going on here.
Him being Westage.
Now, yeah, but see, I see that a different way, though. And that's why I love these conversations. If his role is to be a martyr, it actually works for him, because when it comes to Bakugo, especially what we see in him in this chapter, that we quote unquote really have never seen this side of him. And I think that's part of the point, is the fact that we always go to Deku because Deku, All Might, they kind of like epitomize the image of what a true hero is or should be or should try to be, right? This is the kind of moment where you go like, Bakugo is right up there with them. Even though he failed, he was right up there with him. He wasn't an endeavor. He wasn't a bitter person like Shota was. Like there's so many things that he wasn't. Even though he has this attitude of him that he had this arrogance to him that because he didn't understand what was going on with Deku. Once he understands everything with Deku, the arrogance kind of goes away, and the only thing that's kind of like left there is him trying to find ways to legitimately beat Deku and be better, but also he's thinking about how he can be a hero and help people. He never loses a beat in what his job is. And the fact that he dies a martyr as a hero and everybody there sees him as a hero and recognizes that he died as a hero. Like all those moments with Best Genius, all those moments with like when Best Genius sees that he's like analyzing everything to try and see how he can keep fighting. And then the idea that he keeps fighting to be able to do his part with, to do his part to help Midoriya, because that's the whole point of him. Kind of like he's referring to his rivalry with Midoriya, but also with the effort that Midoriya is putting towards saving people. You know what I mean? Like you kind of see that has like a dual folded meaning there. It's not just about him trying to be better than.
Yeah, and that's something that they both kind of learned together. Like there's the moment where they both say like win to save people to win kind of thing. And that's definitely something that's been intertwined in both of their arcs, right. Especially in their relationship together this entire thing. So
and you see it throughout even the movies. That's kind of like their drive, you know? Like so it's like, even if someone like like this is kind of like a way of me saying, even through someone like Bakugo, we still see the purest of a hero. And the fact that we were able to see that in his final moments, he was still a fan. Because he understood what All Might stood for. Which is why that, like, he would scream, like, in one moment, he talks to All Might with all seriousness, and then 2 seconds later, he's just screaming at Deku. like that was just I love how he was able to have all these different sides to him, but he was always a hero. And the fact that he was able to die a hero. I mean, someone has to, because the whole thing with the rain, I think it's like you guys were saying, like Bakugo doesn't like rain, right? Like beyond the explosion, it makes me think the whole thing about the rain is to highlight that he failed, that he fell, that he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like because the rain is literally the opposite of the sun shining, right? So it rained because he just didn't make it.
And I love the fake. I want to call it the fake out, because immediately when I saw the title chapter, Light Fades to Rain, with the buildup of last week's issue, I was like, oh, they're about to kill my boy Sun Eater, you know. But then with the light kind of being in reference to Bakugo,
Sun Eater,
his
explosions.
His like slight quirk awakening and all of this stuff that really threw me in for a loop. So you know, shout out to the misdirect in the title there.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the link to the tweet I put on the chat? It's kind of funny now after reading this chapter.
But yeah, I think he's a martyr. I kind of see him playing that role if we're trying to give him a specific role, just because that's the way you make it meaningful to Deku and to heroes to come. And there's no bigger role that you can give a character like him if you're going to give him a send-off like you did now.
Since I can't announce kanji, this is what I mean when I say follow-up tweet, and just, yeah, he is probably meant to be a martyr. I mean, come on.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I just saying I don't like it. Like, hey, man. I hate the martyr role personally. That's just That's just
I mean, yes, the fact that in regard to Bakugo's large role in the final the greatest chance to show himself. And what was this? A great chance to show himself.
Isaac,
true.
we get it. You were right.
yeah, like it feels like you're just pushing an agenda at this point. No offense.
No, I'm a bit smug. I can agree, but
A bit.
Uh,
A bit.
Something I want to highlight really quick. I love that, you know, my boy Monoma is still doing his part, just keeping
yeah.
those eyes open as long as he can. Something that I read every Sunday morning with my wife, and something we were talking about, I was wondering is when he takes someone's quirk, the timer that he has, which is definitely extended probably more so than the last time, right? Because I think at first it was like he could copy a quirk for 5 minutes. Does that timer, however long it is now, does that start when he uses the quirk, or does that start when he touches someone and takes their quirk? Do we?
Oh, like is it dealt like ammunition, or is it like?
Yeah, can he save it up, or is it like from the moment he takes it, he only has like 15 minutes, whatever it is?
From the moment he takes it, he only has 5 minutes. That's why he has to stay glued to Aizawa.
Well, I figure Aizawa's there just so, you know, like this fight is going to be much longer than usual. But I was just wondering, because I was thinking of like the Class 1A versus Class 1B fight, and it's not like he used all of the things that he had stored up in himself immediately. But I don't know, maybe that was a tactic to try to you know, finish that fight as quickly as possible. And like, when did he start those clocks on his waistband, all that stuff? But
Yeah.
you know, I appreciate that they still showed his reaction, which couldn't be much because he just has to keep his eyes open. With
He
water.
couldn't even look away, man.
I know. Gosh. And that's interesting that he's there too, because I feel like a lot of his resentment towards Class 1A was kind of from Bakugo as well, because Bakugo was the, you know, for lack of a better word, the cockiest out of all of Class 1A. And I feel like Monoma thought like that was the entire class's sentiment. So I thought it was interesting that like he is the out of like the first year students, not including the big three, he was like the one student to actually be there to witness that.
For that one moment, he didn't need someone to water his eyes.
Oh my god. Guys, I think that's a wrap now at this point, honestly. in all seriousness, with like Isaac, I know you're right. You don't have to keep hammering the point home, but was there anything else in this chapter you wanted to talk about before we call it a day?
No, nothing more than the meme I was posting up earlier. I got it from Nathan, one of our listeners, and I promised him that I would give him a shout out for it in case y'all missed it what it was. Here it is.
Enhance.
Okay.
Damn. Damn.
Oh my gosh, that is wild.
Too soon, man.
That is way too soon. We're still grieving, okay? I know that the leaks came out earlier this week, but we're still grieving today.
That is so bad.
That is
one question, because it's rare for me to be able to talk to other My Hero fans who are caught up on the manga and all this stuff, especially with the new season starting up in in like about a month and a half. Oh my god!
Stop it, Isaac.
In about 2 months, season 6.
See, we're supposed to be grieving. Not, like, Isaac, don't come to my funeral. Just don't do it.
Sometimes people need to grieve with laughter, you know.
Oh my god,
Mr. Smiley. Anyway,
with the new season starting in 2 months, a question that I've kind of been going over in my head over the last year is, you know, of course, we're going into the war arc. Where does it end in your guys? Like how many chapters are they covering in this next season? Because the war is a long arc. I don't know if it's long enough to do an entire season, but I do love the idea of like the end of 306 where you see Deku looking over the city. Like, to me in my mind, that's such a good like end of the
that's what it
season
ends.
kind of cliffhanger. I don't know if there's enough padding though for them to stretch that arc as long as it is. Because now my second thought is that it might be it's somewhere in the 320s where they bring back it's at the end of Ochako's speech, and you see baby Kota and
It's like
reindeer
324 or something.
yeah,
like that.
seeing like the especially like the kind of like narrating that's going on at the end, and like this is the story of like how I became the world's greatest heroes, and the story about how we became the greatest heroes. Like that's another moment I could see being like an end cap for a season. But yeah, so y'all are convinced it's 306?
I personally 306 would be ideal, but I still think that only gets us to like episode 14 or 16. Because the war arc is long, but it's mostly fights and battles, and so you can probably wrap up a lot of those fights within 2 episodes.
A lot of chapters can be, even though there's like a lot of action that they can expound on, like a lot of those chapters can be kind of put into 1 episode. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so like it felt very long because it is really long, but if like the entire sequence with Tokoyami, Hawks, and Dabi, that was like a month-long event in the manga. That can be an episode or 2 max in the anime if they want to pace it that way. So it's really up to how they want to pad it, how they want to stretch it. Because 306 would be the perfect way to end it. But I honestly think the second half of the season is them bringing Deku back, and then you do end with like this is how we become the world's greatest heroes, which is a parallel to the end of episode 1 anyway.
Yeah.
And so that would be a really cool endpoint going into the final season or 2.
Yeah, especially because if you end it at 306, I think you have a good enough, because I'm convinced now that like I know Horikoshi has said like he wanted to end the series by the end of the year. There's no way that's happening now at this point. I'm convinced that we have at least another. I think the manga is probably going to wrap up around the early 400, so I think we have another 40 issues. I think at this point, the way all of these fights are being paced out. And so in my head, it's like, okay, everything after 306, up into everything in between that and when the second war starts, that could be its own season, and then the second war is all of the final season. But now I'm starting to have doubts. So we'll
I mean, they can always go ahead and pull a Attack on Titan, where they have 3 different parts for the same season.
Final season, part 7. Okay, cool.
My Hero in Space.
You're really not going to let the space thing go, are you, man?
It's not going to happen. Space porn. So, I don't know. I think the 306 works. I also think when it comes to the war arc, I mean, if you look how they structured the 1A, 1B arc, they stretched that quite a bit.
Too much, honestly.
But
that's when I started reading the manga, because I was like, oh my god, this arc is so slow. I just need to know. Like the end of last season ended with like it never start. I need to know what's going on with that. Like I appreciate the school stuff, but I need the meat right now.
Yeah. So the whole thing, I think the way it could go is if they end, they can do that, but they can stretch, because remember the war arc, it has multiple facets and locations. So they can dedicate a nice chunk of episodes to each location, and stretch it out that way.
They could even have an original episode, because there's always one filler they're allowed 1 filler episode, or technically 2 every season, right? They do the first episode is always just reintroducing Class 1A for
no reason.
For no reason, because it's like if you're starting off on season 6 and we need to reintroduce the characters, like you're the problem here. So I hope they don't do it for this season. I hope they don't. They probably will. But
when they started doing that in season 3, I hated it so much.
It's like, why are you starting? Like, I get it. It's like it's a little bit of because the show almost is marketed to a younger skewing audience in Japan. Like I get that they still want to treat it that way a little bit. Hell, like when I was in middle school, I started Naruto, definitely not at the very beginning. So like I get it to an extent. But they're also allowed 1 filler episode in every season in the middle of the season. So you could do a filler episode showing an aspect of a fight in the war that maybe they didn't show in the manga, which could be cool and interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it's going to be Selkie again, doing Selkie stuff.
I don't understand the love for Selkie. I mean, I enjoy those filler episodes, but it's really weird how they don't spend time with the millions of characters that this show has already introduced.
Well, they needed to set up the movie. They really needed to set up the very important thing in World Heroes Mission with the drugs and Selkie getting the drugs, or confiscating the drugs, I should say.
Cocaine.
He wasn't using the cocaine, the power enhancing cocaine. But so I do hope we get a little bit of love, especially because in the background there were just like some really funny characters in the background of the war. I think there was like a reference to, I don't know if it's specifically a reference to Panda from Jujutsu Kaisen, but there's just straight up like a panda hero that helps out in that war. I want to learn out what maybe the filler episodes about that panda and like maybe the Chainsaw Man inspired hero that's in the background and stuff like that. Like, give me an episode about that. That'd be cool.
Right?
This hero was inspired by a lumberjack. The lumberjack hero grabs the chainsaw hero. Okay, that came weird.
It really did, man. I don't know how we move on from that. but yeah, like,
And they fight Kamui Woods or no?
Jeez. I mean, we've already established that you can just like saw off all the wood from Kamui from the OVA. So sure, why not?
Yeah, especially with only a baseball bat as well.
Exactly. Oh, you guys didn't watch those OVAs. They are weird. I'll just put it that way.
They're weird, but great at the same time. They're a much needed alleviation, I think, before season 6.
It's definitely the calm before the storm. Because Bakugo hates the rain. Full circle, everyone. Full circle. Brandon, did you have anything else, man?
I gotta change my name for the next one.
Well, it's all right. Everything's gonna be all right. That OP is dead now because we're going to the next season. Isaac, anything else while you dance on Bakugo's grave?
Hey, just because I'm right doesn't mean I have that
He
more
said it
kind
again.
of humor. Okay, in all seriousness, the worst part is I could be wrong for the aspect of the popular battle manga, but as of right now, I'm just have the hope that at least have the guts.
You guys remember Vegeta's sacrifice?
Yeah, but like I said before, at least Dragon Ball has a installed plot device that makes
there was an established early on rule set that they had.
Yeah, that they can easily resurrect characters. Here they really don't. I can see them pulling something up their ass because how popular it is, unfortunately. But I crossing my fingers now because, like Brandon said, 75% of this chapter was essentially just a goodbye. So if he comes back, please be a Westage, please.
I'm just saying, Aries gonna pop up and she's gonna be like reverse, and then he's gonna be fine. And then
risk giving Shiggy her power. That would not be good at all. He would just be it would be game over then.
Monima's here. I'm just saying, he's still erasing that quirk. That's one thing that's really been bugging me this entire time. Why is Shigaraki able to grow all of these hands without being able to use the quirk?
Because it's not a quirk. That's the point.
Yeah,
that's weird.
It's established in the chapter that Isaac was mentioning earlier, the story of how we all became heroes -1, where Lizard Boy, I'm blanking on his name. Spinner is like, what the hell is going on with my gamer bro right now? Villain dad, what's going on with him? And he's All For One is saying like he's trying to overcome the quirk singularity theory. This thing that like this looming doomsday thing that they've been kind of hinting at the entire series, the theory that came from that doctor that was also helping All For One and All For One believing him, and that's all being poured into Shigaraki. Like he is literally the quirk singularity theory incarnate. So it's like all of the Deku only has 8 vestiges inside him. Shigaraki literally has like possibly hundreds, literally just like pouring out of his body and stuff like that. So I think the quirk singularity theory is like was about society, but realistically it was like, oh, one of these powers is gonna get so like gonna take in so many powers at one point that it's literally gonna burst out of them, Akira style. So yeah, so that's that is. It's one of those things. It's a good excuse, It's a good excuse to have some finger body horror,
I'm glad you mentioned the quirk singularity because I meant to bring that up like an hour ago now. At every instance,
welcome to the pod, Mike.
Yeah, right. In every instance of the quirk singularity, you know who's there? It's Bakugo. And so I really do think, because we see on, I don't remember which page, it's like page 9, we see his heart explode. And it's not getting pierced. It's like it's imploding. So I honestly think his quirk evolved to a point where he took himself out. It's page 12.
I mean, it's one of those weird things where like it looks like the outside part of his body is like going in, but then when you look at the heart itself, it looks like something is like being
the type of impact that he has on his chest. It's a hole.
Yeah,
it's a piercing.
But the thing is, we don't see the pierce happen, right? Because we see his heart like exploding, but we don't see anything penetrating his chest.
Well, in the same page, 1213, right, or like everybody's trying to save Bakugo from Shigaraki. You do see Shigaraki's arm possibly inside Bakugo right there. Mm-hmm. It's hard to tell just because of the way it's drawn and stuff. It's not very clear the action of what's going on there.
My theory is, so RoboCop.
I know of him. Yes.
Peter Wheeler's RoboCop, not the weird Kinnaman. You know how he used to transfer data with his punch, like its gauntlet, like a big spike would come out. I think that's what happened. Okay. So he punched Bakugo and then just pulled out something and just poked him.
Maybe. I need more answers. We have to wait 2 weeks. I'm very upset. I'm distraught. I'm crestfallen.
Do you imagine that?
Apparently, Shonen Jump in general is taking a break because
it's not an excuse, Isaac.
Sakamoto Day is Jujutsu Kaisen, and I do believe Spy X Family is on break next week also. And
there might be a holiday next week, possibly.
Hey, as long as I get more Chainsaw Man this week, I'm good.
Yeah. Anything else, guys, or is that an episode?
That's an episode.
I think that's an episode.
That's an episode.
I don't know. It's been an episode. It's been a chapter, a heartbreaking chapter in more ways than one.
Oh.
Barrett, thanks for joining us. Welcome on, man.
Thank you so much for having me. This is, again, like I said, it's rare to be able to talk to other fans who are caught up on the manga and being able to talk about the story so far in its full context. I over at Kinda Funny, I try to encourage everybody to at least watch the anime, but I also have to because of that, I have to keep my lips sealed shut. Talking to one Snowbike Mike and now my friend Kevin Coelho, who's now watching the anime for the first time. So it's one of those I want to say so much about everything that's going to happen, but I'm very excited for them to experience season 6 coming soon. And again, if y'all ever want me back, especially with the new season popping off and looking back at retrospectives of how those chapters are adapted, I would love to come back. This was a really fun time. Thank you so much for having me.
We would love to have you, man.
Love to have you. Welcome back anytime. I just can't wait to see their reactions to when Bakugo becomes Swiss cheese.
I know. The thing that my buddy Andy Cortez also is into My Hero. I think he's almost caught up on the anime, and he was like, man, I need to see characters dying. And I looked at him, I was like, be careful what you wish for, Andy. All right, because you say that, but then you don't really want it. All right, buddy. So he's definitely gonna maybe regret a little bit of what he's asking.
You know what I'm excited about most of the season. Actually, I think this is a good moment to say this.
Say it. Spit it out.
What are you guys most excited to see this season? Because we know the moments. Everybody knows everybody's read it, right? What is the one moment you're waiting for?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay, perfect.
Well, for me, it's easily Mirka versus the Nomus, right? Like that for me is a great moment. Seeing Deku go ham on Shigaraki is also a fantastic moment. I love, and this is a big tonal shift in My Hero Academia. So I'm really interested to see, like Barrett's talking about his friends and like my sister who haven't read the manga. I'm excited to see how they adjust to the tone because it gets darker significantly in this season. So
and that was the weird thing for season 5, right? Season 5 is not the best season, I would personally say, of My Hero, but because it's in that weird in between where it's like the first arc is literally like what we know of the show, and then it slowly shifts and slowly gets us ready for the tone shift of season 6. And it's like that season was always going to be a weird uphill battle because it was all about building up to the war arc, which was going to be way too long to fit into the same season. And so that's why I have this push-pull with season 5, where I knew from when I caught up immediately with the manga, knowing where the rest of the season was going to go. At the time, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a weird one out of context, but once season 6 comes out, I think people who only watch the anime are gonna maybe appreciate it a little more. My answer to what I'm looking forward to most, yes, the reactions to the tonal shift, the Dobby reveal, and honestly, for me personally, I wanted to see the new intros. Like I really love the openings to some of the seasons. Like one of my favorites is Sora Niu Taiba, which is the second one from season
the Stain arc,
2,
right?
I think. And so the Stain arc, and so but with all that, right, like all of those intros for the most part a little bit more lighthearted, but talking about like the slow shift of change in season 5, I think the merry-go-round intro was like, oh, this is definitely a different tone for a My Hero into Academia like opening. And so I'm really excited to see how much they lean into that with the intro having to be about the war arc. That's what I'm most excited about, honestly.
Sweet. The one thing that I'm excited the most about is Daibaku Kishin Dynamite. Great explosion murder god Dynamite.
And I can't wait for Mirio to laugh at that, because that's going to be awesome.
Oh, that's another one when Mirio comes back.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be...
You just said it! No.
Yeah. Like,
that's awesome.
When he... Like, everyone I know who's anime onlys, they still say Mirio's their favorite character. And so that reveal is going to have so many people excited.
Yep.
Great stuff. Great stuff, guys. It has been a fantastic conversation. Again, Barrett, you're welcome back anytime. We do this every week. Except for next week when they're not here. Where can people find you online, man?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at SadBoyBarrett. I usually just use Twitter, though. You can also find me over on YouTube.com/kindafunny or YouTube.com/kindafunnygames, where I direct all of our gaming-focused podcasts, like Kinda Funny Games Daily, our daily news show, our weekly Games Cast, our weekly Xbox podcast, our weekly PlayStation podcast, and sometimes I'm on shows like the Kinda Funny Screencast, every once in a while talking about anime, but also every once in a while talking about things like Better Call Saul. That show is ending in a couple of weeks, so we will be back reviewing that when that series is wrapped up in a couple of weeks, and all that good stuff. So yeah, you can find me at those places.
Awesome stuff, guys. Make sure you go subscribe over there as well so you don't miss a thing. Isaac, you were right. Where can people find you?
Celebration times, come on.
Spitting on the man's grave. His body's not even cold. God.
Yeah, well, you can find my work at
Cold-hearted bastard.
Find me over at Emblemaniac on Twitter, and you know that I have no shame and dark humor all around.
Jesus. Okay, Rives with the Burning Heart. Where can they find you, BA?
The funny thing is that people my age know that's a Survivor reference. Not the show, the band, Rocky IV. You can find me on Twitter at the Scarlet Fan 52 and on Instagram at the Scarlet Fan 52.
Awesome. You can find me at Novice Cinephile on YouTube, youtube.com/NoviceCinephile, where we're doing the Chatter After as well, another movie podcast. So stay tuned for all the episodes going up there. You can also find me at Geek5Nation and, of course, here talking anime every single week with these fine gentlemen. And the podcast you can find on Twitter at Amateur Otaku Pod. Make sure you guys subscribe and follow us on Twitter as well so you don't miss a thing. I made a special outro for today's episode, so that's going to send us off. Take care. Go beyond. Plus.
Ultra.